He was a father of two, a hard-working man who wanted nothing more than to give his kids a better life. But instead of being remembered as a provider, his name was dragged through the mud because the police not only failed him, but deliberately framed him. This is a story of how one innocent father lost everything, not to crime, but to corruption. It began in the year 2000 in a small town in Arizona. Michael Breeks, 32 years old, worked long shifts at a local factory. He wasn't wealthy, but he had something money couldn't buy: a close-knit family. His wife described him as the kind of man who would walk 5 miles in the rain if it meant his kids could eat. Neighbors saw him as quiet, respectful, reliable, but to the police, he was something else entirely. He was a perfect suspect. One night, a local store was robbed. The owner was beaten, money was stolen, and the community was shaken. The police faced pressure to find answers fast. Within days, they announced they had their man, Michael Breeks, the factory worker, the father. Their reasoning? He fit the description. A tall man with dark skin, wearing a hoodie. That was all it took. When they arrested him, he thought it had to be a mistake. He told officers he was home with his family that night. His wife and kids had confirmed it. But the police didn't care. They claimed they had a witness, a man who said he saw him leaving the store. But what they didn't reveal was that this so-called witness was facing his own criminal charges. And the police had offered him a deal: testify against a father, and your charges disappear. At trial, the evidence was shockingly weak. No fingerprints, no DNA, no stolen money ever found in his possession. Just one witness, and police officers who swore he was guilty. The defense begged the jury to see reason, but the prosecutor, fueled by the police narrative, painted him as a violent criminal hiding behind his family. The verdict? Guilty. The sentence? Decades behind bars. And with that, the father's world collapsed. In prison, he wrote letter after letter proclaiming his innocence. He told anyone who would listen, "The police made me their scapegoat." But his words fell on deaf ears. Meanwhile, his family struggled to survive without him. His wife worked double shifts, barely able to keep food on the table. His children grew up with the weight of shame, bullied because of their father's conviction. The man who had once been their protector was now reduced to a number in a prison cell. Years went by, and then a break came. A non-profit organization that investigates wrongful convictions reviewed his case. What they found was damning. The witness who testified against him had confessed years earlier that he lied. The police knew, but they buried the statement. Worse, they discovered that the officers who handled the case had tampered with reports, altering the timeline of events to make it appear as though the father was near the crime scene. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a frame-up, armed with new evidence. Lawyers fought to have a conviction overturned. The case dragged through appeals, but eventually, after more than a decade in prison, the truth came out. The father was innocent. When the judge finally announced his release, his wife sobbed in the courtroom. His children, now adults, embraced a man they barely knew anymore. He walked out free, but broken. A father robbed of his children's childhood. A husband robbed of his marriage. A man robbed of his life. And yet, the officers who framed him faced no consequences, no prison time, no accountability. They retired with pensions, while he struggled to rebuild a life destroyed by lies. This isn't just one man's tragedy. It's a reflection of a justice system where police can bend the truth, manipulate evidence, and ruin lives with no punishment. So the question remains: how many more fathers, mothers, and children will be torn apart before accountability becomes the law of the land? What do you think? Should officers who deliberately frame innocent people face the same sentences they give their victims? Or will the system always protect its own? This is the story of how the police framed an innocent father,